Hi, I'm Brittany.
And I'm Jeremiah. We're PetersHandCrafted. We're going to start doing a series of videos on projects that you can do at home. Things like this toy airplane that you can get the kids involved with, or tables, lamps, home decor items.
Projects like this headboard. Keep watching for step-by-step instructions. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and enjoy the video. Today we have a custom order for a simple headboard. We will be using 3/4 inch oak. You can use whatever you like, whether it be pallet wood or pine. Just make sure you have your safety glasses, earplugs, and if you have long hair, have it pulled up.
Hey guys, we're going to start by ripping our boards to 5.5 inches. I already have the fence set. If you have the space, it's best to rip the full length of the board. If you're limited on space or you have a smaller saw, you can cross cut everything to your height and then rip it after that. If you're buying your lumber from Home Depot or Lowe's or your local hardware store, it should have 2 clean, smooth edges. This makes it nice for ripping. You can put either side against the fence. If you're getting your lumber from a bigger supplier, it may have 1 rough edge and 1 smooth edge. Make sure when you start with these that the smooth edge ends up against the fence. Hey guys, now it's time to do your cross cuts. Make sure you square the ends of your boards first. From the factory or from the sawmill, these edges won't be square and it'll throw off your measurements later. For this project, we need to cut all our boards to 36 inches. To do this, I've clamped a block to the workbench that is 36 inches from the outside of the blade, and now I can cut them all very quickly, efficiently, and they'll all be the same length.
Now that all our boards are cut, it's time for layout. All our boards have been cut to 36 inches long, and we have 4 different sizes, and now we're going to lay them out in whatever pattern we like. Well, that was easy. Now we have our headboard laid out. Now it's time to put it pretty side up. If there's any knots on your boards, turn them around so it's to the back. And look at your grain to make sure that it's going the same direction. Our headboard calls for 1 more detail.
As you can see, I've already cut 1 horizontal piece to go across and 1 diagonal piece. For the second one, I can either trace this one, or we can start by cutting a 45 on the top, laying it across, drawing pencil marks on the bottom, and then cutting it off. It should come out just perfect.
Our design is complete, and now it's time to take it all apart, sand it first with 120,
and then with 220,
and then we'll put it back together. It's time to get messy. Now we have to glue it all together.
Today we're using Titebond 2 premium wood glue. When you glue your joints, make sure that you get complete coverage. It's going to squeeze out and ooze everywhere, but you can just take a wet rag and wipe it all off. Depending on the time of the year and the weather, you may have problems with your glue. If it's really hot out, it likes to dry in the nozzle. If it's cold, it doesn't like to flow. Also, plan on using a lot more glue than you think you're going to.
With everything glued, now it's time to clamp it. We're going to try and make everything as flat as possible because once the glue is dried, it's a lot more sanding to do.
Now you can see the glue is squeezing out, which means we're getting good pressure. You got to be a little bit careful when you tighten your clamps because the whole thing can spring. But this is the point where we start wiping with clean water. As you you do more of these projects, you'll find that you never have enough clamps, and you never have enough clamps that are long enough. So a simple trick is you take 2 short clamps, turn the sliding dog sideways on both of them, hook them over the edges, and it becomes 1 long clamp. Also, when you glue this up, slide a couple stickers underneath so that your project doesn't glue itself to your workbench. As you can tell, I've already started sanding. You also notice that the clamps are still on. I just left these on as a safety because glue times are going to vary depending on weather, temperature, humidity, and just the brand of glue. Also, when you're sanding, make sure to keep the sanding surface flat on the board. Don't be tempted to go up on edge. It'll sand faster, but it'll leave dips and grooves in your project. Alright, so we finally got it sanded with 120. We've got a few little splits, a few little defects that we want to try to get rid of. So I'm using some wood filler in the golden oak color. I know from past experiences that this stuff will stain out with the color that we're doing for this project. Make sure to check your project with the wood filler you want to use. If you're not worried about the cracks, then you just move on to your 220. So you can see here I filled a couple different spots with golden oak wood filler. When you use wood filler, you want to make sure to cover whatever you're doing. If it's a little high, that's okay. You're going to sand it back off. Also, it leaves a little wet mark. That should dry and it won't leave a mark. Alright, we are almost finished with this project. We have to glue and nail on our final details. I've put some little marks so I know where the pieces go. Made sure they all fit. We're going to go ahead and glue all across the back of them. Make sure you get good coverage. You don't necessarily want to go crazy on this one though, because if you squeeze glue out on the edges, it's kind of hard to get out. We are going to pin nail it. I've got 1.25" 18 gauge nails that'll hold it in place until the glue dries. Well, there it is. It's glued on and nailed on. Now we got to fill the holes with some wood filler and take some sandpaper and ease all the corners and edges so that they're nice to the touch. Then when the wood filler is dry, hit it with some 220 again and it should be ready for staining. Now it's time to stain. For this headboard we're using Minwax. The color is Provincial. It's code number 211. We're going to just apply it with a rag. If you wipe across the grain it's going to be darker. If you wipe with the grain it's going to be lighter. You want to be careful when you go into the corners not to leave marks from the rags, from it, dragging a tail, or from your fingers pressing too hard. So you really have to watch what you're doing, make sure that it's going on evenly and nicely. I use one rag to apply and one rag to wipe off.
We are clear coating with Minwax oil modified polyurethane in clear satin.
It's a cool product. Put it on with a brush if you want to do multiple coats. Sand with 220 in between coats. It dries real fast, especially in this warm summer heat. And it gives the wood a nice, just finished look. Gives it a little bit of depth.
Our headboard is now finished.
Just to recap, we started by ripping strips of red oak. We glued and clamped them all together and then put a coat of Minwax Provincial number 211 on it. To finish it off, we put a coat of oil modified polyurethane by Minwax in a satin finish.
We would love to see your projects. Go ahead and share them to our Facebook, Instagram, and share this video.
Thanks for watching.